This video is about congruent triangles and their corresponding parts. But first, let's review the 5 ways of proving two triangles are congruent. You've got side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and hypotenuse leg. Now, here are 2 ways that you cannot prove triangles are congruent. If you have side, side, angle, that does not prove that 2 triangles are congruent. If you have angle, 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 that does not prove that 2 triangles are congruent. And in a minute, I will explain what I mean by all of these things, but I just had to list them out first. All right, these 2 do not work. So, let me explain by doing some examples. So looking at the first problem, I see that we have 2 angles and a side that are marked congruent. 2 angles and a side. So look down these options and see which ones have 2 angles and a side. Well, let's see. This one has 2 angles and a side, and this one has 2 angles and a side. So it's going to be one of these 2 answers. When it comes down to these 2 choices, the way you know which one it is by using the word between. Look at this first option, angle, side, angle. See how the S is between the 2 A's? That means that the side has to be between the 2 angles. All right, so I'm just going to write the word between. Now, let me change colors for a second. For the second option, the S is not between the 2 A's. That means that the side is not between the 2 angles. So I'm just going to write not between. Now, what do I mean by that? Look at the angles. So I have an angle here and I have an angle here. If I connect those 2 dots, that shows me which side is between the 2 angles. This is the side that's between. However, the side that I have marked is a different side, a side that is not between the 2 angles. So, since the side is not between, I'm going to choose angle, angle, side. So these triangles are congruent by angle, angle, side, which is option C. Now, before I go any further, I should mention that hypotenuse leg is actually a special case of side-side angle. So I'm just going to add this on. Hypotenuse leg is side-side angle, but it's only for right triangles. Okay, so I said that side-side angle will not prove 2 triangles are congruent. And so this is the exception to this rule. Side-side angle will prove that 2 triangles are congruent if it happens to be a right triangle. But you'll see when it comes up, you'll see why we don't call it side-side angle. We call it hypotenuse leg instead. All right, so looking at problem number 2. Let me do a little reset on my highlighting here. If I just look at one triangle at a time, I see that I have 2 sides and an angle. So whenever you see that there are 2 sides and an angle, there are 3 possibilities. This one has 2 sides and an angle, so it could be side, angle, side. Now, I just mentioned that hypotenuse leg is really 2 sides and an angle. So that means I need to think about hypotenuse leg as a possibility. And the third possibility is maybe it is in fact side-side angle, which doesn't prove anything. So if it turns out to be that third one, the answer will be D, cannot be proven to be congruent. All right, but it's going to be one of these three answers. Now, first, start with hypotenuse leg. Hypotenuse leg only works for right triangles. So first you look and see, is it a right triangle? Yes, it is. So hypotenuse leg is a possibility. Okay, and in fact, as soon as I see it's a right triangle, I can forget about side-side angle. There's no way, because if it's side-side angle and it turns out to be a right triangle, that it'll be hypotenuse leg. So I can forget about that. So it's going to be one of these two possibilities. Now, hypotenuse leg. Which one of these sides is the hypotenuse? Well, this is the hypotenuse right here. Notice it is across from the 90-degree angle. Also notice that this hypotenuse has no marking. So the hypotenuse is not one of the congruent sides. So it cannot be hypotenuse leg. And if it's not hypotenuse leg, that just leaves side angle side. Okay, so that's what this is. But let me once again write the word between. Notice how this A is between the two S's. All right, between. That means the angle has to be between the two sides. And look, here's one side that is marked congruent. Here's another side that is marked congruent. Notice that they meet right here at the angle that's marked congruent. So the angle, which is the 90-degree angle, is between the two sides. So it makes sense that this will be side angle side. Take a look at problem number 3. I see that I have two sides and an angle again. Anytime you have two sides and an angle, there are three possibilities. Could be this one, could be this one, or could be this one, which really doesn't work, so that would be cannot be proven congruent. Always start with hypotenuse leg by asking yourself, is this a right triangle? I see the 90-degree angle. This is a right triangle. That means this one, the one that can't be proven congruent, that's not a possibility. It's either going to be side-side angle, which makes it hypotenuse leg, or it'll be side angle side. It's going to be one of these two answers now. Okay, now which one is it? Well, just ask yourself, is the hypotenuse marked? Well, here's the hypotenuse right here across from the 90 degrees, and it has a mark on it. Now, any other side, all right, I have this other side over here, any non-hypotenuse side is called a leg. So I have a hypotenuse marked and I have a leg marked. That means this is, in fact, hypotenuse leg. All right, so the triangles are congruent by hypotenuse leg. For number 4, we are switching gears a little bit. If we wanted to prove these triangles are congruent by side angle side, what else would we need to know? All right, so for side angle side, we need two sides and an angle marked. We already have one side and an angle. We need two sides and an angle. So all we need is another pair of congruent sides. So the only question is, which one of these two sides does it need to be? All right, what if I foolishly picked LK? All right, that's going to turn out to be wrong, but let me show you why. For side angle side, I need the angle to be between the two sides. If I pick LK, then what happens is I have this side marked congruent and I have this side marked congruent. The angle between them is this angle right here. That is the wrong angle. I need it to turn out to be the angle that's already marked. So I need to pick a different side so that the angle will be in the middle. So that's why I'm going to pick side MK. Now, if I highlight the two sides that I have marked, all right, this side and this side, look where they meet. They meet at the angle. That means the angle is between the two sides, and that's what I want. So I need MK. By the same argument, I need DF, because that would put these two sides, which are marked, all around the angle, which is in the middle. So the additional pair of sides will be MK and DF. So I'm looking for MK congruent to DF. Now remember, this could be KM or FD. All right, so I see MK, but not DF. MK, FD, here it is. All right, let's try the same idea on number 5. If we wanted to prove these triangles are congruent by angle, side angle, what else would we need to know? Okay, angle, side angle. That's two angles and a side. Right now we have one angle and a side. So we need to choose one of the other angles and mark it congruent. Okay, I want angle, side angle. Again, I'm going to pick the wrong answer first. Let's say if I picked this to be the other angle. Now I have two angles and a side. But this would not be angle, side angle, because we need the side to be between the two angles. But if the angles are here and here, then this is the side that's between them. But that's the wrong side. We need it to be the side that's already marked. So that's why we cannot choose angle K. So it has to be angle L. We'll choose angle L because that makes the side that's marked between the two angles. And that's what we need for angle, side angle. The side has to be between the two angles. So I'm going to use angle L, and using the same argument, it needs to be angle E, which will put the congruent side between the two angles. So angle L has to be congruent to angle E. Okay, L is congruent to E. Once again, that is answer B. Okay, I might have to move this down a little. All right, take a look at number 6. If we wanted to prove these triangles are congruent by angle, angle, side, what else would we need to know? Let's see, angle, angle, side. That's two angles and a side. We have one angle and a side. We need another angle. Okay, now, this is the angle that we want right here. Okay, this would make it angle, angle, side. And I'll tell you why. There were two ways, there are two options that have two angles and a side. It's this one and this one. But for angle, angle, side, we need the side to be not between the two angles. And that's what we have going on right here. Notice that we have an angle marked at M and we have an angle marked at K. This is the side that's between those angles. But the side that's marked is not between the two angles. And that's what makes it angle, angle, side. So using the same argument, I need my additional angle to be here at angle D, which again, this is the side that's between those two angles. This side that is marked is not between, and that's what makes it angle, angle, side. Okay, so what did we mark? We marked angle K congruent to angle D. All right, K is congruent to D. That is answer C. Okay, look at number 7. Which of the following is true for this particular diagram? Okay, well, all of the options start off with triangle RST. So I'm just going to sort of redo this for a second. So triangle RST is congruent to triangle. Okay, R. Let's see what matches with R. Well, here's R. Notice that R is between the double and the, you know what, I always say it that way. I'm going to say it in terms of what it's across from. Okay? Notice that angle R is across from the single mark. So I'll put a single mark on R. Now, which angle is across from the single mark down here? Angle E is across from the single mark. All right, so that means angle R must be congruent to angle E, must be corresponding. Now, angle S. S is across from the double mark. So I'll put a double mark on S. D is across from the double mark. So I'm going to put a double mark on D. Angle S corresponds with angle D. So I'll put angle D next. Angle F and angle T are the only ones we haven't mentioned. So T must correspond with F. So we're looking for triangle EDF. Okay, and I see that that is B. All right, number 8. If triangle FGH is congruent to triangle PQR, which of the following must also be true? Okay, well, notice the connections. F is first, and P is first. So that means F always corresponds with P. Okay? Now, G is second, Q is second. So G corresponds with Q. H corresponds with R. Okay. Now, here we have rearranged things. All of these choices, all of these choices start with triangle HFG. So we have triangle HFG. And the question is, what will that be congruent to? Triangle. Well, let's see. H corresponds with R. So R has to be first. What about F? F corresponds with P. So P goes next. G corresponds with Q. So Q goes next. So we're looking for triangle RPQ. RPQ, that's this one. The answer is D.